We continue the story on the National Register for teachers who are registered sex offenders. We're joined now by the Gauteng Education spokesperson, Steve Mabona. Good afternoon to you and thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon and to all our viewers.
As a department, do you think that this National Register for sex offenders is not working efficiently?
Look, the information is there. I'm just not sure about making it public because all the organizations that need information, they can access the information. And all those cases that we refer to the South African Council of Educators to say an educator has been dismissed for sexual misconduct, that information can be accessible, That's why we will normally encourage all the other stakeholders, when they're about to appoint, they need to interact with the relevant authorities. You can't just take a certificate on the face of it without verifying with the relevant organization to say, this is what we have. Is it authentic? Is it still valid? Is this educator not a red flag? So a mechanism is there for any organization that would be, wanting to appoint a former teacher or a teacher that has been dismissed or anyone from our environment.
Is this mechanism available also to the private schools or only to public schools currently?
No, the private schools can access that information. That's why each and every educator need to produce a certificate that will be saying this educator is supposed to be in the classroom, is well qualified, that verification process. And if the educator is red flag, then the organization should be informed by, relevant other entities to say, no, you cannot appoint this one because of the reasons that they would give them. But for us to have a register that will be focusing on educators only, I think that will be an overreach, because where these educators, reside, they reside in the communities. So you can't have a register that will be exclusively only for educators. Educators go through a lot. They are parents in absence of, us being, at the schools. We send children at school, and the teachers take care of our children. Each and every profession is, born by, educators, a role that they play in our space. So we really need to not to chastise so many of our educators that are doing well because of few individuals or few rotten apples. Then we need to chastise everyone. I think putting a register that will be exclusively for educators, I think that will be wrong because they are members of the community. If there is that register, for all sex offenders that is currently being managed by our, law enforcement agencies and the fellow sister departments, then that could suffice. But in addition to what we have, then we report all those cases of sexual misconduct or sexual harassment or any other case that will be related to, sex offenses to the South African Council of Educators. And we think that should be enough.
And I want to know what you think about this recent incident of the teacher who was fired in 2014 and has resurfaced as a principal, a deputy principal at a private school in Kagiso. Is it the school that sort of overlooked the register or just didn't, tick all of the boxes correctly before hiring him?
Well, we can't speak for them, but we can confirm that from where we are sitting, we did report this matter to the South African Council of Educators, and there is an acknowledgement which indicate that yes, indeed, they did acknowledge that they have received this case. So that's why we say each and every entity or school, if you are about to appoint a former educator coming from, whether from public or from independent, the South African Council of Educators should have that information, because you can't just go with a certificate that is not verified. You need to verify a certificate. If one comes with a matric exam or a matric certificate rather, you need to verify that. Umalusi is there for that purpose, for you to verify. You can't say one produce a matric certificate and you don't verify. So verification process is quite, important in the process of appointing anyone who will be interacting with most especially children. So that's how you need to manage it.
And just lastly, Minister Angie Motshekga is going to be speaking to the nation at 3 o'clock as a province in Gauteng. Is everything ready? Are all systems good to go? Especially considering that just last week we found out about the 1,500 students who are yet to be placed because their parents hadn't submitted the relevant documentation on time.
No, we can confirm that in Gauteng we continue to place. Our employees, our fellow colleagues, they are working tirelessly. Overstretched, I must say. They don't have actually working hours now. They work every day, every hour, just to make sure that all those learners are placed. And we want to actually acknowledge them, and we are actually indebted to them because we often thank them enough, to say they are doing a good job. Because last year, you remember, we were at about 40,000 learners unplaced at currently. So now we are at less than 1,500 now, I can assure you. By tomorrow, we will be giving you a lesser number, which will then be encouraging. Our schools, we did give them mobile units. We did empower them to say, where you can accommodate more, let's do that. That's why we said all those that did not apply at all, they still need to be accommodated, because on the 2nd of March, they will then go to the district offices and check the list of those schools that are available. There are schools that are still available in terms of capacity, but you'll understand that we have what we call high pressure schools where everyone wants to be there, every parent wants to be there. A parent will be probably from Soshanguve, and Soshanguve there's space, but one wants to go further, more than 10 kilometers away from there because one prefers a certain school. But a parent that is in a suburb, when you give them a school that is probably 7 or 8 kilometers away, they then are not satisfied because they want to be closer to the school. So it's something that we try by all means to satisfy everyone, but we know that it might not be feasible. But at the ultimate end, our obligation, that of placing all children, must be adhered to.
Well, thank you. We'll just leave it there. That was Steve Mabona, the Gauteng Education Department spokesperson.